Hi again, this is Dr. Mahmoud. We're continuing on Chapter 9, Replacement Study. And for this video, we will be talking about uh, uh, two different scenarios. The first scenario is we need to conduct a replacement study over a specific period. So if I said, all right, can we replace this asset in 3 years? All right, this would be the content that we will be covering. Or we could say, well, we need to replace this asset, but we're not sure when. And we add the challenger to that. Let's take a look into these examples. So let's read first on the basics, and then we'll take an example, and then we'll discuss the result. All right, replacement study and the analysis procedure. Number one, replacement study over a specific period. If the time period is specified in a replacement study, you need to find the annual worth. I'm going to skip the present worth or future worth as well. Just find the annual worth for the challenger and the in place. So let's focus on the annual worth because this is the most common. Of course, I did put it there because you could find the present worth and the future worth, and you could compare it to each other. But for now, we're now more used to the annual worth. So this is what we need to do. Find the annual worth for the challenger and find the annual worth for the defender, compare them with each other, and the one that will give you the lowest cost, this one that should be selected. All right, let's take a look into this example number two. Example number two, a bottle manufacturer would like to conduct a replacement study between two laser marking machines. So there is some, the laser that they use it for barcoding and engraving some, logo and so on. So they need to do a replacement study between these two laser marking machine. The information about the two machines is summarized below. The plant manager is interested in a study that covers a 3 year. So now it's specified for a 3-year time horizon. Help the plant manager make the right decision regarding whether to replace the in-place defender or keep it for 3 more years. The interest rate is 10%. So let's go ahead and switch to Excel here. All right, so we have the challenger, we have the defender. Here's the information given to us for the challenger for 5 years, the in-place defender for 3 years. And so 100,000, 80,000, 60, 50, 40, and the same thing here, 40, 30, 20, and 10. And we have the maintenance and operational cost for each one of these for the challenger and the defender. Let's find out the annual worth for the challenger for 3 years. Again, this is going to be for 3 years, starting with the initial cost. The initial cost is 100,000 based on the table. As you see, this is the initial cost here. 0 is 100. That's the initial cost. So if we need to conduct the annual worth for 3 years, so 10%, 3 years, and 100,000, and that would give you the annual worth equivalency for the initial cost to be 40,000. Now, where is the 3 years? It's right here. So if we need to keep this asset, or we're studying 3 years, so what would be the market value for 3 years? It would be the equivalency for the 50,000. So what we should do with the 80 and 60 and 40, 20, no, just ignore them, because now we're making it very specific. We said we need to study the alternatives, the two alternatives at 3 years. So now we need to look into the initial cost, salvage value at year 3, which is called the market value here, and the maintenance and operational cost. All right, so we've done the annual worth for the initial cost. The annual worth for the salvage value is equal to be 15,000, about 15,000. And this is basically the equivalency for 50,000. Consider the 10% interest rate. The maintenance and operational cost looks like it's 25,000 here and this is just given here. All right, now what would be the total annual worth cost for the challenger? Add these together, the 40 plus 50, 15 plus 24, and that would give you a 50,000. Make sure that the salvage value in a positive, I just want to remind you that it's positive, but just don't make mistakes then to convert it into a negative number. And the initial cost should be a negative because it's a cost. All right, so adding these together, that would give you $50,000 as the total cost. Now let's move on to the defender, in-place defender. let's do the annual worth for the initial cost for 3 years. So we have 10%, 3 years, and 40,000. The salvage value after 3 years would be 10,000. So let's find out what would be the equivalence of the 10,000. That would be equal to 3,000 per year. And then the total annual worth would be adding all these together. The initial cost, the annual worth of the initial cost, the market value on year 3, which is the salvage value, and the maintenance and operational cost of $50,000, and add these together. Now, let's take a look into these numbers. Compare the 50,000 with the 63,000. As you see, the 50,000 is cheaper than the 63,000. So it would be better to replace the Defender after 3 years. So 3 years, yes, we found a better alternative, which is basically replacing the Defender, the in-place Defender. That would be the conclusion for what should be done. All right, so as it say here in the book, over the next 3 years, the Challenger is less expensive than the Defender. So we should go in and replace it. All right, now let's move on to the next example. So I'm going to back to the slides here. All right, for the other scenario, which is replacement study for unspecified study period. Again, sometimes we need to do the replacement, but we're not sure when to replace it. This year, next year, 5 years from now. Okay, this will help you to calculate it. If you need to conduct a replacement study, but the study period is not identified, you will need to first find the annual worth for the Defender and the Challenger using the economic service life method. The alternative that has the best annual worth, which is basically the lowest cost, should be selected, and you repeat the study after n years based on the situation. So what we should do, okay, well, it's going to be a long process and time consuming. So if we have to find the annual worth year by year, exactly similar to what we did, but for what we did in the previous example, we did only for 1 year, which is year 3, okay, and we found the annual worth. For if it's unspecified, we have to find the annual worth for year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, until the year end for both alternatives, for the Challenger and the Defender, and then we compare it on when would be when we should replace the asset. Let's take a look into this example. A quality manager is considering replacing a coordinate measurement machine. You know, the CMM machine. It's used widely for quality assurance and ensuring the quality of products and new products development and so on. One option is renting a new machine, okay, from a vendor, saying, okay, well, can we rent this for $97,000 a year, and the vendor will take care of maintaining it and all the things that needs to be done for it. The other option is to keep the current machine for a few more years. We said, oh, well, we already have one machine, but what we could do, we could keep it for a few more years. And of course, there are some expenses here. The market value for the current machine is $37,000, $30,000 in 1 year, and $19,000 in 2 years. The operational maintenance cost is $85,000. So yes, it is. We have a machine, but to maintain that machine would cost us $85,000. If the interest rate is 10% per year, determine when the in-place Defender machine should be replaced. All right, what we need to do, we have to do the analysis. I'm going to go switch to Excel here, and we have to find the ESL year by year for these alternatives. All right, let's take a look here. All right, so we have the market value, 37, 30,000, 19,000, maintenance and operational cost, 85,000. The Challenger is just one number, 95,000. So we're going to do the annual worth for 1 year and 2 years. All right, so starting with this here, that would be the initial cost would be 37,000. Annual worth market for year one would be 37,030 if we're going to sell it. So right now it's right now the market value for this machine is 37, and now if we're going to keep it for 1 year, we can receive a salvage value of $30,000. All right, so let's take a look into how we do this. The annual worth for the 37,000, it would be 40,000. And now the annual market for the 30,000 PMT, 10%, 1 year, and in the 30,000, and the annual maintenance cost is 85,000. Adding these together would be 95,700. So that's, keep an eye on the challenger right there. Which one is cheaper, paying 95,000 or paying 97,000? Of course, 95,000 is cheaper. So we keep it for the first year. All right. Now let's take a look into the second year. If we should keep it for 2 years. Now, for sure, we're going to keep it for 1 more year, but we're not sure about the second year. Annual worth of the market value, 0 would be calculating the annual worth of the initial cost, which is 37,000 here. We're going to keep it for 2 years at this time for this scenario, and at 10% is the interest rate. The market value for keeping this asset for 2 years, which is basically the salvage value 19,000, and find the equivalence for the 19,000 using the PMT 10% 2 years, and the future value. There's comma and comma here for the present, no present, and the future value would be the 19,000. That should be a positive. Keep that in mind. Maintenance and operational costs, that's going to be 85,000. Now add these together, that will give you 97,271. Now what we need to do, compare it with the 97,000 right there that you see it right there. Which one is cheaper? Of course, now it's cheaper to do the challenger at this time. So what would be the conclusion? The conclusion would be is to keep the in-place defender for 1 year, and then on the second year we switch it and we replace it. That would be the challenger. So in this case, the ESL is 1 year because it has the lowest cost in here. All right, so I hope this is helpful. I'm going to stop my video right here. I will be talking about one more concept in the book, which is the finding the value for the in-place defender. If we need to replace it, how much we should collect value, so the market value for it. And this is very important because we need to find out when we sell the machine after so many years, what would be the salvage value. And this salvage value, as you see, it can be calculated. It's not coming from, it could be coming from experience, but most likely to be accurate, it should be calculated to find out what would be the exact salvage value, the trade-in value, to make replacing a new machine, replacing the current machine with a new machine, financially viable, which is basically you're not losing. Anyway, we'll talk about this in the next video. I'll see you there.